Is there a concern here that if you guys don't say more, then these Republicans who are accusing this White House of weaponizing the Justice Department, weaponizing the FBI, that's going to become the public sentiment? If you guys don't say once and for all, we are not doing that.
First of all, we're just not going to comment on the Department of Justice investigation.
Okay,
we're just not going to comment on that.
Is this White House weaponizing the Justice Department and the FBI against political opponents?
The president has been very clear from before he was elected, very clear on this. Hold on. Throughout his time in office.
I heard the quote. We will be playing the quote tonight at 6 o'clock. Is this administration weaponizing the Justice Department and the FBI against political opponents?
Peter, the president believes in the rule of law. The president believes in the independence of the Department of Justice.
That's a yes or no?
No, that is no. It's a yes or a no for you. I'm answering the question. You may not like it, but I'm answering the question, and I'm answering the question, and I'm telling you that we are not going to comment on a criminal investigation. The president has been very clear. I laid out what his thoughts were back on January 7th in 2021 about how he saw the Department of Justice. And I'm just going to leave it there. We're not going to comment from here, from this White House, on a criminal investigation that is currently happening.
She's like a deer in headlights. She has absolutely no idea what to say. They've been caught red-handed, and now the polls are coming out showing that this raid has backfired spectacularly on the Democrats. We're going to take a look at the latest polls. We're going to see how the Mar-a-Lago raid has fired up the Republican base like never before. And make sure to stick with me at the very end of this video when we'll see how administration officials are already throwing each other under the bus. You are not going to want to miss this. Greetings, everyone. It's me, Dr. Steve, your patron professor, here to help you to think better so you can feel better in these crazy and clownish times. So if you haven't already done so, you know what to do. Make sure to smack that bell and subscribe button. Gang, before we begin, look, you know, COVID continues to make news as Joe Biden just got a recurring case of it. And now the left is talking about freaking monkeypox. And we all know that they would be more than happy to have another round of shutdowns, oppressive mandates, and threats to business owners. My friend Josh Zaglowski, co-founder of ERC Specialists, is once again standing up against the threat of lockdowns. His business, ERC Specialists, is a specialty payroll company exclusively dedicated to understanding and maximizing the CARES Act Employee Retention Credit. That's what ERC stands for, Employee Retention Credit for small businesses affected negatively by shutdowns. If you are a small business owner looking to get up to $26,000 per employee back from bumbling Biden, click on that link in the description below to see if you qualify today. It's an absolutely amazing opportunity. All right, let's dive right in here, gang. We predicted it. When the news first broke out on Monday night and we did our YouTube live stream, I noted that not only was this raid a clear sign of desperation on the part of the deep state and the J6 Kangaroo Committee, but that it was going to backfire on them big time. It was a clearly explicit weaponization of the justice system against a man that the Democrats and their willing rhino accomplices like Liz Cheney are hell-bent on destroying. Dan Bongino said it perfectly in yesterday's video. The fundamental difference between a functioning democracy and a banana republic is that in a functioning democracy, we investigate crimes in order to find people, whereas in a banana republic, we investigate people in order to find a crime. It's a brilliant distinction, and it's right on. The fundamental difference between the J6 committee and an actual fair, impartial, disinterested court is that the court is investigating a crime in search for a person, while the Pelosi-packed Cheney-rigged J6 committee is investigating a person in order to find a crime. What happened at Mar-a-Lago was beyond obvious, and it was going to backfire on the Democrats big time. Well, what do you know? We've got our first polls coming out on the raid. The Trafalgar Group, one of the most accurate pollsters out there, they're the first one to poll this, to my knowledge. They found a clear plurality of likely voters who believed that the raid was indeed politically motivated. And that includes a majority of independents. Again, keep in mind, this poll was taken before it became even more clear that the DOJ and the FBI got nothing on Trump, right? The poll was taken in the immediate aftermath, just going on the optics of the raid, and they found that 87% of Republicans and 53% of independents thought it was nothing more than a political hit job. And what's even better, remember, we predicted that this was only going to galvanize the Republican support for Trump. This raid was only going to increase Republican solidarity to resolve to shatter the Democrats come November. The poll went on to ask, did the raid increase your motivation to vote in November? Take a look at these numbers. 83% of Republicans, 8 out of 10, said that the Mar-a-Lago raid fired them up all the more to vote in the midterms. Now, that is not a number that the Democrats want to see. If over 80% of your opposing party has just gotten radically energized to vote, that is not good news for you. That's political devastation right there, and it gets even more devastating. It's not just Republicans. 72% of independents said that the raids made them more motivated, more likely to vote in November. And given that the majority of independents believe that this was a political hit job, I think we're safe in predicting how they're going to vote. So there's some clear backlash against the deep state here. Again, we got to remember that there's already been rising resentment among voters that we live in a two-tier justice system. The Trafalgar Group recently found that 79% of Americans believe that we live in a two-tier justice system that protects political insiders. Gang, that's 8 out of 10 Americans. It's a widely held sentiment, not just here in the United States, by the way, but throughout Europe as well. Populations are increasingly realizing that globalist societies fundamentally create two classes of people: the permanent political class and everybody else. And the permanent political class as the managerial class that governs and engineers the standardized political and economic systems imposed on all populations across the globe. They engineer society in such a way that creates rules for thee, but not for me. They engineer society such that political and economic protocols always work in their favor at our expense. So that resentment was already there. And we predicted on Monday night that this Mar-a-Lago raid was only going to pour oil on the fire, that populist resentment. And according to Trafalgar, it has. Perhaps that's why the White House is completely denying any knowledge of this raid whatsoever. Take a look.
That's what he relayed to us specifically.
On a different topic, the FBI is serving a search warrant on the former president's residence in Florida. Was the president or anyone at the White House aware of that search warrant? Or has anyone at the White House or the president been briefed in the aftermath of that search warrant being executed?
No. The president was not briefed, was not aware of it. No one at the White House was given a heads up. No, that did not happen.
Is the White House at all concerned?
Yeah, remember, that's the same White House that just told us that inflation is at 0%. And by the way, that does remind me, given this total incompetence, you can see why people are getting smart and investing in gold and silver, protecting their assets and preparing for the future. You know, I push our good friends over at Goldco on here a lot because I highly recommend investing in gold and silver, especially with such an amazing Patriot-owned company like Goldco. Click on the link in the description below and start investing in the future with the timeless value of gold and silver. You're going to love them. All right, so you can see the White House is totally dodging any semblance of involvement with this, but it's not just the White House, gang. The best indicator that all of this has backfired beside the polls is the deep state infighting that we're starting to see break out. Already, senior Department of Justice officials are throwing FBI Director Christopher Wray under the bus, saying that the final decision to greenlight the raid on Mar-a-Lago rested with the FBI, not the Justice Department. So this is absolutely hilarious. We're already seeing the feckless Attorney General Merrick Garland and the DOJ trying to distance themselves from the FBI. According to a report by the Daily Wire, one DOJ official called the raid, quote, a spectacular backfire. And he went on to say, quote, I know that there's much speculation out there that this is political persecution, but it is really the best and worst of the bureaucracy in action. They wanted to punctuate the fact that this was a routine law enforcement action stripped of any political overtones, and yet they got exactly the opposite. Well, duh! I mean, sorry, gang. This is what happens when you hire based on ideology rather than qualifications. That's the blessing in all this. Radically ideological regimes always end up undoing themselves because they don't hire based on competence or conscientiousness or skill. They hire you based on your fidelity to the reigning ideology, which in places like the old Soviet Union guaranteed that you had incompetent dolts and morons heading your various departments. And that's at least appearing to be playing a part in this colossal backfire. It does appear that there was a lot of administrative incompetence surrounding this raid. And that's only going to increase the amount of finger pointing and backstabbing among administration officials. So there you go. It looks like things are starting to unravel with the bumbling Biden regime, so much so that this raid may indeed be the ultimate undoing of not just Biden, but the whole of the Democratic Party. Hey gang, make sure to smash that bell and subscribe button, and definitely make sure to check out my latest video. I absolutely love it. It's on Dan Bongino going to war to destroy the Democrats and the FBI. It's going to fire you up like never before. So make sure to click on that link, and I will see you over there. God bless.